the asshole for criticizing how my girlfriend takes job interviews? Me and my girlfriend are moving to another state, so she's job hunting right now. Her first interview, she had a call with a top company whose recruiter messaged her on LinkedIn. She spent a full hour grilling the company on its engineering practices and then withdrew her application. The next few calls with companies, she grilled them all and decided against moving forward with 4 of the 6. I said I think she's making a mistake, being picky, and she's gonna ruin her reputation. She said she wasn't making enemies, and if anything, it made her a hotter commodity. I still felt like it would hurt her reputation long term, but she said it wasn't a power play. Am I the asshole for criticizing how my girlfriend takes job interviews? The next interview I overheard started a big argument. Both her and the interviewer were laughing, and he was telling her a story about one of his coworkers. He said he fell off a barge into the river working on a project. She said, as funny as that is, that's honestly kind of messed up that they put y'all in danger, and I'm going to have to withdraw my application. She said to me, damn, people really tell on themselves if you just listen and smile. I said she did it a little prematurely and should have asked if they changed that. I asked if she was getting cold feet, and she said no, this is just how you interview at her level. I said that was BS, and she's sabotaging herself. Am I the asshole for telling my coworker she should not carry a designer bag when working with low-income clients? My coworker is a young woman in her mid-20s and just got hired for the position. Without giving too much away, we work with vulnerable and low-income clients in our community. We then link them to resources, and it's a very intensive job that requires us to meet with them at their homes. Now, she is really sweet and nice and obviously comes from means. I accompanied her one time on a visit, and she brought a large tote bag with the words Christian Dior. And the words really stood out in large letters. I suggested she leave it in the car and told her it's not appropriate to carry such a bag. Am I the asshole for telling my coworker she should not carry a designer bag when working with low-income clients? The bag had the words Christian Dior in large letters, and I suggested she leave it in the car. I said it's not really appropriate to carry such a bag when visiting the home of a disadvantaged client, especially when they're having trouble making ends meet. She did leave it in the car, but things seemed a bit awkward afterwards. I was talking with another coworker, and they think that I did overstep my bounds. They think the bag is work appropriate, but I think it's bad taste to flaunt such a bag considering our client population. Also, I'm not her supervisor. I was assigned to help her train.
In other words, he claims to predict the future. Am I the asshole for refusing to give my boyfriend a percentage of my raise just because he predicted it? Okay, this might sound kind of, but let me explain. I, 32 female, have been with my boyfriend, 35 male, for 7 years. He has what he called supernatural ability, and that is to dream about things or events before they take place. In other words, he claims to predict the future. He once talked about seeing me getting a new car in his dream, and in 2 months' time, I bought a new car that I was saving for. Another example, he told me about seeing a new friend coming into my life in this dream. Turns out he was talking about the dog I adopted in July. Basically events that weren't so surprising. Now I've got a raise at work, around 40% after working my ass off for 6+ years with this company. I was happy because now I get to renovate parts of the house I've always wanted to. And when I told my boyfriend, he told me to set aside a percentage of the money for him. I was so confused and I asked why, and he said it was because he already dreamed about me getting a raise and predicted this event before it happened. I said, I don't know, since I don't recall he ever told me. He got upset and said that the reason he didn't tell me was because how I kept making fun of his abilities and that I could go ask his friends and they'll confirm that he did in fact see this coming. I said I was sorry, but this seemed illogical and unreasonable of him. I refused to give him any money and he flipped out and called me ungrateful and claimed that I was turning my back on the people who helped me in a way to get this raise. I'm just like trying to understand, like, let's say you did predict it. I don't understand why you need any of her money. That makes absolutely no sense. It's not like she won the lottery and you predicted the lottery numbers. It's her job, okay? Like, why? I don't understand. Not gonna lie, I kind of laughed at the absurdity of this, but he got even more offended and said that I can't blame him for not telling me after I kept mocking him like that. I refused and said that no way in hell was I going to give him any percentage and would rather save the extra money for renovation work around the house. We had an argument and he left to be with his friends, who later got involved and said that the way I treat my boyfriend and his incredible prediction ability was appalling and out of line. They said he wasn't asking for much and I should consider it. What? He just saying, Okay, I predict you will get a raise in the future. He didn't contribute to that at all. Did he help her at all with the work? Does he work with her? Does he have anything to do with her managers and stuff like that? You predicted. Let's say you did. It's not because of you she got the raise. It's because of her hard work. I don't understand. And this guy's it's 35. It's not like he's a little ass kid talking like this. Like, he's a grown adult. Like, why are you? This is a classic case of consequences of your actions, okay? I got a girl pregnant that I barely know, and she wants to keep the baby. Back in June, my family and I, 18 mil, went on a cruise for vacation. This is a cruise, baby! Oh my god! For anyone who hasn't been on a cruise, it's basically a giant all-inclusive party. So while my parents had spa appointments or lounge by the pool, I would just go to the clubs or the pool bar and just have fun. I met a girl, 18 female, on the cruise the first night we were there, and we just instantly clicked. She's gorgeous, funny, and we had a lot in common. We exchanged numbers and hung out again the next day too. Her family was staying just one day shy of mine, and we pretty much hung out for the rest of her trip. We did hook up more than once, so obviously we had a lot of fun together. This is just, blows my mind. I feel like these are little kids. Like, what are you doing? Go play in the kids club. Why are you sleeping with each other? Stop. We Snapchatted a bit after the trip, but she lives in South Carolina and I live in Florida, so we didn't really talk and just kind of moved on. Then, one random day while I was working, she called me like 3 times. I hadn't heard from her in weeks, so I thought it was weird. I stepped out into the back and gave her a call. That's when she told me that she was pregnant. I was in complete shock. We used condoms and everything. And also, she sounded very excited, not upset or anything. I asked her what she wanted to do and if she needed money, and she was confused. She said that obviously she was keeping it. Well, that's just not something that I agree on. I understand it is her body and her choice, but the logistics just don't make sense. She's 10 weeks now, we've talked on the phone since the first call, and I've gone over options with her. She fully expects me to move to South Carolina to be with her and help her raise him. This is my first week of college, and I told her I intend to graduate here. I can't afford an out-of-state school, and I can't afford to just move. How am I supposed to afford a kid? And we don't even have a relationship. Yes, we got along well, but that's completely different than being a parent with someone. Thinks we can just try co-parenting, but I would still have to move for that to work out. It just seems that she has this big delusional plan and she doesn't understand why it just won't work out. She thinks I'm the one preventing it from working because I refuse to move. I don't know how else to explain to her that this just won't work. I think there's an update. Okay, I did tell my parents. They were pretty surprised and disappointed, but also agreed that we don't know for sure if it's mine. This also isn't their first rodeo with all of this. My brother knocked up his high school sweetheart, so we're just doing a great job of making them proud. They have a lawyer that they've used, so we were able to have a call with him. He actually helped me draft up a text to send to her, basically saying that I won't respond until a DNA test can be done. They do have non-invasive tests they can perform while she's pregnant. They're just expensive. My parents offered to help me with the cost, but I'm just going to suck it up and cover it. I texted her that and didn't reply to anything she sent. She went off on a tangent about how I'm the only person she slept with in months. It's fate. We're meant to be together and all that. Then there was silence for a bit, and then she finally agreed to do a test. My parents' lawyer found a doctor that can perform it, and we scheduled it for next Tuesday. So I'll be driving up to South Carolina just for the test and coming back down. I really don't want to miss much class, but apparently not many places are open the weekend because of the holiday. She still texts me and tries to FaceTime me. I haven't had the heart to send anything back outside of just planning to go up there for the test. She's trying to plan for me to meet her parents, go to dinner and all of that, but that's not what this trip is for. She added me to a baby Pinterest board, asked me about names. I just can't handle it. I also made an appointment with my doctor to look into getting a vasectomy because this has just scared the shit out of me and I'd rather not have it ever happen again. Oh my god, I feel bad. Okay, I kind of take back my comment. I feel so bad. Like, this sucks.
Landlord attached GPS tracker to my car without my consent or knowledge.
Oh, damn.
Hello. A little background. My partner and I were getting the spare tire on my car unmounted from the bottom of the car when he discovered a circular magnetic device attached to the lip of the bumper of my car. We initially couldn't tell what it was, but after using Google Lens, we discovered that it was a land, air, sea tracking device. When we discovered this, we were obviously worried, but I was especially worried because I had been stalked and attacked by my ex in November of last year.
Ooh.
Thinking it belonged to him, we filed a police report and had them find out who the owner of the tracker was. To our surprise, the tracker was purchased by our landlord of about 3 years. Apparently, he had been checking our location periodically and the device was live when we found it. It came as a huge shock to us because he seemed like a genuinely good person who has a family and who even helped us install floodlights and curtains on our home after I was attacked. The police have been trying to contact him to get some answers, but he has been not returning their calls. It has only been a day though. Other than feeling unsafe in our home, we also feel like it's a huge invasion of our privacy and honestly a breach of trust. Again, our rapport with him seemed good and he seemed like a family man, so we just want to know what the future of our housing situation is going to be. I live in Oregon, so can there be a case made in criminal court? My main question is, would I be able to sue him? Sorry if this seems to be all over the place. I just found it today and I'm still processing what happened. Any advice would be much appreciated.
Damn. I don't really have any advice to give OP.
Okay, update. So original post was September 15th, 2023.
Okay.
The update, July 27th, 2024.
Ooh.
So brand new update a year later.
Holy shit, okay.
So this update just came in. You guys are getting it hot off the press. Update.
Perfect.
Wow, I can't believe it has been almost a year since I posted this. A lot has happened between now and then, and I could write a novel about these updates. But writing is not my strong suit, so I apologize if this update seems relatively brief. It's a long update, but a lot has happened. So, as some commenters guessed, it was my ex who attacked/assaulted me in November of 2022 who attached the GPS tracker to my car. My ex, from what I remember, used Reddit a lot, so I had to wait to give these updates. Did I mention that my ex and I haven't talked in over 8 years? Anyway,
What?
the way he was caught and his behavior following being caught is absolutely unhinged. I posted the original post the day after the cops showed me that the GPS tracker was registered under my landlord's name, but it soon became very clear that my ex had used my landlord's identity to try and cover his tracks. What? And he almost got away with it. He put my landlord's name and address on the information for when you registered the Land, Air, and Sea tracker. The cops showed up at my landlord's home and essentially interrogated/questioned him about the situation. Obviously, my landlord had nothing to hide, so he answered their question, allowed them to search his wallet for any associated credit cards and his phone for any associated numbers. He obviously came up clean, and that's when the real investigation started. The tracker was linked to a track phone that my ex must have been using as a burner phone. It also required you to make monthly payments via credit card, but he would use a prepaid Visa that had no name/identity associated with it. He probably also paid cash for these prepaid cards. So all of this covering up, and you know what it got him? A woman's voice. Thankfully, the police officer investigating the case took every avenue to catch him, which included setting up a mini sting operation, since the only lead was the track phone. The officer had a female colleague call the number to try and bait him. The call went a little something like this. Her. Hi, is this so-and-so? Him. Yes, who is this? Her. This is so-and-so from blank bar. We met the other night and you gave me your number. I just wanted to see if you wanted to hang out sometime. Him. Oh yeah, I remember you. We should definitely meet up. And so on. The police believed that the recording of the call itself was enough evidence for probable cause, but they wanted to get him meeting her in person to really solidify the PC. They were texting back and forth for a while, but I think he eventually realized that it's too good to be true, and that the GPS monitor was no longer going anywhere other than the sheriff's office. He must have put 2 and 2 together and stopped. But not all hope was lost. The cop got voice verification from me and one other person that could verify that this was his voice. He was arrested for identity theft and illegally asphyxiating a GPS monitor on my car. Both can be considered a felony since I had a protective order against him. The process of arresting him and indicting him was no walk in the park though. They gave him the opportunity to turn himself in instead of being arrested by an officer or being picked up. Well, when he realized the trouble he was in, he checked himself into a mental hospital, which was a loophole for him not to be taken into custody, and which meant a mountain of paperwork to the DA's office to get charges seen before a grand jury. My experience going to the DA's office could be a whole other thread, but I will spare you the details. The grand jury eventually indicts him on both counts, and I awaited trial. That should be the end of the story, right? Wrong. Not even 2 months after he is indicted, I see him outside my house. I was driving home from a date night with my partner, and we took a different road than we normally take home because we saw some cute ducks in a neighborhood yard, and it caused us to take a detour. Well, thankfully we detoured that day, because as we were about to rear the corner of the road we live on, we saw him. It was broad daylight, and he wasn't even trying to hide his identity, it seemed like. In fact, he just looked like a normal guy walking around the neighborhood. At first, I thought I was just seeing things because I didn't think he would be that careless to get that close to my house after everything. He had a no contact order against him that required him not to be within 500 feet of my home or vehicle, which he was within. As we turned the corner, I started noticing him. He notices us and immediately turns himself so his back facing us and just kind of pauses, acting like he's looking at something, probably hoping we don't notice that it's him. I tell my partner to stop the car, and when we stop, he starts speed walking the opposite direction where our car was headed. We circled back around to verify that was him, but at this point, he had disappeared into the bushes. We slowly start to head back towards the road we live on, trying to see if we can spot him. As we were going, he pops out of the bushes about 10 feet ahead of us and makes direct eye contact with us, and then starts sprinting up the road. We head his direction and try to get pictures of him. We were able to get 2 blurry pictures of him, but probably not enough to verify completely that it was him. I filed another police report and talked to his PO about what happened. The PO had come in and get a GPS monitor anklet pending investigation. I also reached out to the cop that helped me with the GPS tracker and assault case. He helped me go to every neighbor's house and ask for video evidence of the creepy stalker X. Some neighbors didn't answer, other places didn't have anything, but the place with the bushes, they had a picture/video of him clear as day crouching in their bushes. Needless to say, he is currently in jail facing multiple charges against him. I want to delve into more details about the justice system and my grief with it, but for now, I will just end on a positive update. Thank you for those who gave me advice and showed actual concern. To those who commented that this was an ad for land, air, sea tracking device, piss off. I also want to acknowledge that the cop has been helping me ever since I was first attacked. He saw me right after I was assaulted in 2022 and saw how shaken up I was. He went out of his way to do a sting operation on the GPS tracker, and he went door to door to find video evidence of my stalker. I don't think the average cop would do half the work he has done, and I will be forever grateful for that.
Wow, that was wild. Oh my goodness. That's so scary though. Like, he's probably not going to be in jail for life. So as soon as he gets out, you got to move. You got to, I would even move states. Like,
yeah, right? I meant to try to make me feel bad. Feel bad for what? That our heart is apparently so torn?
girl, he's going to leave you whether that baby is his or not.
Right?
Like, you cheated on him. Is there anything else?
Yeah.
Oh my god, still?
Yeah.
Okay. Lay it on me.
Next update comes February 22nd. My wife has been reduced to a trashy daytime talk show. The woman who was once my wife, who I considered a classy woman, has turned into a complete trailer trash. Today, she announced that she's moving in with her affair partner from the gym.
Oh.
She's pregnant, it might be his kid, it might be mine. She's too embarrassed to get blood drawn from a paternity test. She spent about a week trying to get my attention, to get me to talk to her, to get me to beg her to be mine. I didn't fall for any of it. I've largely been ignoring her, and when we have to speak, I keep it brief. We've been living together this whole time, but I'm in a different room now and functioning separate from her in all ways. So her pouting and trying to get me to pay attention to her and giving her a gold star for not going to the gym for 5 days in a row didn't work. Today, she texted me that she is moving in with him. Somehow, I still do care about this person. I've already met a lawyer though. I can care about her as a human being and possible mother of my child without being married to her. Still, it stung to hear her say that she's going to be with him. I told her that it wasn't a smart move to leave the house. I've even told her she'll probably need to meet with a lawyer. She doesn't care about anything I have to say. I don't think she needs to move in with anybody. I actually feel bad for her that she just can't be on her own. I asked her if he actually knew she was pregnant and wanted to know what story she'd been telling him this whole time. She said he knows and he doesn't care if it's my baby. He loves her and wants to be with her. Bizarre. Can't find anyone else? Somebody who isn't a married, pregnant woman? Why would you take that on? Doesn't make sense to me. He's scum, but he's good-looking scum who apparently is gainfully employed and owns his own house. So you can't tell me that my married, pregnant wife is your only option here. I just can't imagine being a single guy like that and wanting to put up with this baggage when I could have other options. And if this really is my baby, then what? They'll live with my wife and this weasel 50% of the time? I don't know how my wife turned into this mess. And she thinks it's embarrassing to have to get blood drawn?
Yeah, for real. She's embarrassed to like actually go and do it.
No more?
More?
Oh
my
yeah.
god. Okay.
I told you, this is a juicy one.
Okay.
Update, February 29th. My wife has agreed to a paternity test.
Oh.
My wife moved in with her affair partner last weekend. She didn't take very much at all. Most of her stuff is still in our house. I still get the feeling she was just waiting for me to beg her to come home, but I didn't reach out to her at all after she left. It was a strange mixture of relief, anger, and sadness. I don't think I ate at all until last night. I just never felt hungry. Drank a little too much, but I'm fine. I'm posting this update because I've received a ton of messages from people, and honestly, it's emotionally draining to respond to each one and to have to type the same stuff out. I just don't feel like talking about her that much. So this morning, she texted me that her affair partner wants to get a DNA test done, so she's going to do it. Look at that. Didn't matter what I wanted, but now that he has requested it, she suddenly thinks it's a great idea. She asked if I wanted to submit a sample because it's cheaper to have 2 dads tests as part of one package. I don't even care what the cost at this point. I just want an answer. I don't have to see or interact with them at all. I just have to make my own appointment with the lab to get my cheek swabbed. So this Saturday I'm going to do that, and we should have the results within a week. I'll take what I get at this point because it's better than her dragging this out for another 20 weeks. So that's it. I'm fine. I'm going to work every day, trying to function, just feel stuck in limbo. I do miss her. Honestly, I hate that she's there with him. It makes me sick. Part of me does want to beg her to come home. It'll be even worse that I find out that it's my baby and she's there with him. Unless he drops her at that news. I won't let myself beg for her. I won't play those games with her.
Good. Yeah. Yeah, I find it interesting that now the new man is asking for the paternity test, but I thought he was going to love her regardless.
Right? Apparently not.
Why does he want to know now?
Exactly.
I assume there's another update.
Yep. March 15th.
Okay.
We recently had the paternity test done at the request of her affair partner, and it proves that the baby is mine.
Oh.
It's been very mixed emotions for me, very up and down. Originally, I thought I just wanted to be completely done with her and not have any lifelong ties in the form of a full-blown human that we shared. But I was sort of happy and relieved when I got the results. I'd already had it in my mind that I was going to be a father for months before I found out that she was cheating. Sometimes I just have moments where I can't believe this is my life, that this is the situation that my kid will be born into, and I hate her for it. She's still living with him. All of her belongings are still here at our house. I refuse to do the work of packing everything up for her. She doesn't seem concerned about taking any of her things beyond the essentials. After we got the news that I'm the baby's father, she texted me saying that she's glad I'm the father, and she knows I'll be a great dad. She was texting me new baby name ideas last night. She tried calling, but I ignore the calls. I only speak to her via text. This morning she asked if she could come by and get a few things. I told her it was fine, as I'd been advised by my lawyer to not prevent her entry from the home, but I told her that he better not be with her. So who shows up with her? The scumbag boyfriend. He walks right on into the house behind her like it's no big deal. She ran upstairs to get the stuff she wanted, and he and I were just left standing there in the living room. He told me it wasn't her fault that he was there. She told him I didn't want him to come, but he forced his way along. He wanted to talk to me, supposedly, to tell me he understands how I must be feeling. No, you don't.
Shut the fuck up.
He told me he knows I probably don't believe him, but he genuinely loves her and knew he probably wasn't the father. He accepts it and then tried to assure me that he won't try to take my place with the baby and hopes that we can get along since we're both going to be in her life now. He promises that she's fine. He's looking after her. I told him that I couldn't for the life of me imagine what he wanted with a pregnant woman who was having another man's child. That I found it weird. When I told him that he didn't get out of my house, I'd punch him. I went upstairs and she was trying to find some things in the bathroom. I got mad, asked her why she brought him along, and told her I find it really strange that he still wants to be with her now that he knows he has nothing to do with the baby, and that I refuse to let him have anything to do with the child. She said he talked her into coming and she's sorry and she never meant for any of this to happen, but she's in love with him now. He is supposedly what a 30-year-old is looking for, not me. She's setting up a nursery in his house and I can set one up at my house, and she has no intention of trying to get full custody or anything like that. She doesn't want to keep me from being involved in my child's life. How generous of her. She went back downstairs and I followed her, and he was still standing there in the living room, and I just walked up to him and punched him. He stumped back and fell into a table, and she yelled, "What the fuck?" and ran over to him. I don't even care at this point, as if he's going to call the cops. He deserved it, and it wouldn't have happened if he had just left like I told him to. Several hours later, she texted me saying she was sorry about today. He really meant what he said, and he's actually a good guy, and he cares about her and respects me. What the fuck? He respects me? He was screwing my wife in the gym locker room. I was like, you can't be serious, and she said, fine. I'm trying to have a mature conversation about this, and I can't help that we fell in love. Believe it or not, I'm not trying to hurt you, and I just want everything to be amicable. This guy stole my wife, and he's stealing my kid too. Sure, I'm the actual father, but now that they're setting up a nursery together in his house, I've tried to not feel jealous or sad. I've tried to maintain the thought that he's the trash man who picked up my garbage. Sometimes I feel that way, but the truth is that I love her, and still love her. I don't want to stay married to her on principle alone, but this is devastating me.
Oof. It's really interesting that he still wants to stay with her. Are there any other
Another
updates?
update?
Is there anything else?
Yeah.
Oh my god! This is going to take up the whole episode.
Another installment of the implosion which was my marriage. My wife is basically 26 weeks pregnant now. There actually has been much drama with her and her affair partner. I was away for a long weekend last week, and it was nice to just get away from home for a while. Only really annoying thing that happened is that I told her I'm being in the delivery room, not him. After everything she's done, she owes me that. It's not his baby. He has no right or reason to be there. I will not be the one waiting outside while my kid is being born. She said yeah, she waiting outside while my kid is being born. She said yeah, she agrees, and never planned to have him in there with her. I asked her if she's told him that, and she said no. I told her to tell him, and he'll have no part of it. Well, she told him, and apparently he didn't like that idea, and he started trying to convince her why he should be there. Next thing I know, she's telling me that he really wants to be there, and she's the one giving birth, so she should be able to say who she wants there, and she wants him there. I suppose he'll start making name suggestions soon, and will try to overrule names we've had picked out for our future kids for years. We've talked a little bit, and she told me I can have our house and the dog in our divorce. I'm requesting that we sell the house and split the profit. I already had that written in the paperwork. I'm not buying her out of our house, a house that I've made all the payments on anyway. I have a much better credit score than her and less debt. I compromise a lot because she liked the house. I'd rather be able to get my own place based just on what I want with no reminders of her. And there was already no way she was getting the dog. I already had proof that I owned him, so she wouldn't really stand a chance of having the court award the dog to her. It's the one thing I told my lawyer I wanted above anything else, not including any custody issues surrounding my actual human child. Honestly, her affair partner can have her, but he will never ever have my dog. Not to mention my dog is 100 times more loyal than my wife, and some might even say better looking too. So with the idea I won't be living here in this house for much longer than the baby is born, if everything moves quickly, I decide I will still prepare a nursery here anyways in case anyone wants to try and accuse me of not being invested/prepared for fatherhood. I'm trying to look at the positives. It doesn't matter what colors she likes or what themes. I can do whatever I want. Honestly, we've been together for so long and have lived together for most of our adult lives. It's sort of nice not living with somebody, but sort of lonely too. I have friends and family, but it's hard to feel in the mood to go hang out with people too often. They always ask me about everything that's going on, and I'm just tired of being the topic of conversation. I got a promotion at work, which financially would have been better if it happened after the divorce, but I'll take what I can get. I feel like I'm living in this limbo right now, for a lot of what I do is always framed around how will this affect me in the divorce. Admittedly, I do spy on them on social media sometimes. Guess I'm hoping to see he's been in a motorcycle accident or something now that the weather is nicer. Hasn't happened yet, but he's starting at a new company, and once that's up and running, I can always get my friends and family to leave 1-star reviews everywhere. Have to find ways to have a little fun. She told her family that we've split up and that she's with this other guy now. Her sister reached out to me to say how sorry she was. Her sister is a dumbass, that sort of thing. She told me that my wife is complaining about her affair partner, that the sex is over when he's done, and apparently he's really selfish with sex. He doesn't do extra little things for her that she's used to me doing, like clearing the snow off her car in the morning and heating it up and offering to make her food after a long day. He doesn't speak her, quote, love language, and he hangs out with his friends too much. This made me very happy to hear. She's secretly miserable, and I find that absolutely delightful.
I could have told you this guy wouldn't do those things just based off of the story.
Exactly.
Like, I already got that vibe. Like, he is not like a partner that you want for the rest of your life. Like, is that all?
There is...
Oh my god.
Well, there's another update.
Oh my god.
This update is now from 1 month ago, from today's date. I'm a dad. I have a baby, a little girl. She was born yesterday, 2 weeks early. I was allowed to be in the room. I didn't force my way in there. She said she wanted me there too. He was there too. By far the single most awkward experience of my life, and the only reason I was able to excuse it was because she told me that she wanted me there, and I didn't want to miss the chance to be there when my kid was born and to hold my kid before he did. I can't imagine what the doctors and nurses were thinking. Fucking humiliating. Then the guy tried to police what I could see. I put the baby in there. He's fucking watching, and it's like this is still my wife and that's my baby. I chose to stay dignified and ignore him the entire time. I was there to do whatever she told me to do, and my focus wasn't on him. But in any other setting, I don't think I would have been able to hold back. Baby came flying out. I mean, as far as labor goes, these are the nurse's words, and I trust labor and delivery nurses to know what they're talking about. She tore very bad because the baby came out so fast. The baby is so tiny, barely 6 pounds and only 18 inches, but perfectly healthy. I went home for a short rest, although I couldn't really rest at all. I went back today, and of course he was there. Surprisingly, he said he was going to give us time alone with the baby. Not sure if she had previously asked him to do that when I showed up or not. Didn't ask. He even brought us all food when he returned a few hours later. I wondered if mine was poisoned, but I tried to be nice. He's still not gone, so I'm wondering how long he'll be around. I just can't let myself do anything that will make her try and keep me away from my daughter now. I don't want them making it difficult for me. I'd prefer not to share her name publicly, but I can confirm that it's the name we chose for our daughter years ago. He had no say, and he hasn't said anything about the name at all. It kills me to see him holding her, though. I eventually left because it was just too much sitting there pretending to be like some bizarre Threes company. I know I will get my time with her when he's not around. He's already posting them on social media. I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to figure it out. I just have to find a way to be the bigger person because I won't let him or the relationship discourage me from being my daughter's dad. I totally get doing anything for your kids now, and if it means having to pretend to get along with him, I will. Okay, this is going to be the final update. My wife has moved home.
Oh my god.
This month continues to be the strangest I've ever experienced. Within hours of sleeping with this other person, I started getting texts my way saying that she decided she wants to move home. It's like she had some sort of sense. She was saying that when she's ready, would I come help her? I called her and told her I don't want her to come home and to be in a relationship again. She just doesn't get to decide what's going to happen. She then started to say, oh, I know, I just meant move back in. I told her I didn't really believe her, and I felt like she was just jerking me around again. She says she thought about our conversation the other day had gone so well, and she thought we seemed to be in a place where we could really work on fixing things. But until then, she could live in another room. She said she was completely serious about it, and she wants her daughter to be in one home. I feel so mixed about everything, but ultimately I do want my daughter living in my house 24/7, and I don't want another man helping to raise her. So I took the bait. Today, I showed up at his house to help her move some things, but I anticipated I'd get there and she'd either have her mind changed or she wouldn't have been planning to leave at all, only waiting to see me do more tricks for her. They were arguing when I got there. The baby was crying, she was crying, and running around packing things in bags, and he was falling behind her, begging her to stay, offering to do anything to make her stay. He accused this of being my idea. Maybe it was. I don't know. I don't really care what he thinks. It was obvious she just had sprung this news on him shortly before I got there. She was telling him over and over that she just wants her child raised in one home and that his home wasn't really their home, and she was sorry she was doing this to him after everything he'd done, but she just has to give our daughter one home with her real father. We got back over to my house and she obviously was an emotional mess. I had no room prepared for her. Not 15 minutes later, he shows up at the front door. She didn't want to talk to him. He wouldn't give up, and eventually he was there on my front porch, loudly saying things like, "That's not what you're saying when you were blowing me last night." So at that point, after I'm sure our neighbors had been enjoying this embarrassing scene for long enough, I told him that if he didn't leave, I'd call the cops. I went out there and tried to calm him down. I mean, I had to sympathize with him a little bit. She runs away. That's what she does. I may have said a few other things in my own favor and to make him realize he doesn't want to be involved in this mess that is my wife. I don't think he'll give up so easily, though. Sounds terrible, but once she was at my house, I sort of found myself wishing she'd leave with him. I know I'd been wanting her to come home and to tell myself it's mostly due to the baby, but now I'm wondering what the hell I've got myself into. She said, "I didn't really blow him last night. I haven't done anything with him since she was born. I've only been thinking about you. I told her, yeah, right. You expect me to believe it? Even if it is true, what on earth makes you think I would ever believe anything you say? Then, out of spite, I told her I slept with somebody else. I know I only told her to hurt her, and I feel bad about it now. She immediately demanded to know who. I told her it's none of her business. She claims that it is her business because we're still married. Nope, I'm not sharing. So now, we're awkwardly existing. I don't have much faith that she's going to stay here. I think she'll be back at his place within a week. I've told her that he's not allowed over here. He has no business being here. And if we're raising our daughter in the same house together, then she can't just run off to his house to be with him whenever she feels like it. It won't work that way. She says she knows, and she wants me to want to be with her again, and she'll prove to me that she can be a good partner. She tried to kiss me, and I rejected her. She's upset, and she's taking a nap now. I feel like I've dug myself into a very deep hole now.
Okay, you guys, I found the wife's first post, okay? And it's, am I the asshole for asking my fiance to pay a bride price? My fiance, 32 male, is white, European man. I, 31 female, am a black African woman. We've been dating for 7 years. I came to his country to study and have lived and worked here since. Ever since we started dating, he took such an interest in my culture, asked me to teach him my language, culture, and we've even been to visit a few times. He asked me to marry him last year and I accepted. We were planning our wedding. I mentioned we need to account for my family back home. We could have the traditional wedding in my home country and then the white wedding in his, since we don't want to ask anyone to fly out or get visas, etc. The issue came when I mentioned a bride price needing to be paid, something he scoffed at. To call it a bride price is misleading because there is so much more to it than the money that changes hands. It's our time-honored tradition that blends two families into one, and it's always something I wanted to do when you got married. I mentioned he knew of marriage customs in my country and that they included a bride price. We both work in law and human rights type of fields, so I assumed I would be against the bride price. I told him I'm against it being a forced and money-making thing, but I'm asking that he does it because I chose it and I want to honor my parents and culture. He refused, saying it was backwards and exonerate, and it would be like he bought me. I assured him it wasn't the case. My parents would charge a symbolic amount, nothing crazy, just to symbolize us getting together. I said if my parents were to sell me, he couldn't afford me. This set him off in a rage because I somehow insulted him by saying that, when what I meant is that my parents aren't looking to make money off me, but this is something my people have done for a millennia and I don't want to break from tradition. I said I don't know if I'm willing to go ahead and marry him if he isn't willing to make the trip to my country and talk to my parents about the lobola process. I hope I said that right. Lobola? It's L-O-B-O-L-A. Lobola. He says I'm forcing and manipulating him. I'm not. He knew from day one who I was and where I came from. This is what my people do, and I feel for him to label it backwards as Eurocentric because he's viewing it from his lens, despite me having explained what it's actually about. Okay. These comments are wild, though. So, yeah, I get that. Because white people don't do this. European people don't do this, right? Most other countries, we have, it's not, bride price just sounds so bad. You're not literally saying, hey, give me this money for bride. It's just like a symbolic thing. Like, okay, you need to prove, it's for us, especially in like agriculture, it's like to prove that you can take care of her financially, whether it be cattle or a money a set amount. And usually that, like for us, like the money that you give goes back to the bride, as in like you'll give the bride money, like, okay, here's like $5,000, but the family will go and buy things for the new house that you guys are going to move into, like ironing boards and like clothes and like sofas and things like that. It goes back into your marriage. So it's just like I get that. But these comments are ruthless. I can see it. You guys can go ahead and look at it. I'll give you guys the title again. So it's, am I the asshole for asking my fiance to pay a bride price?
I think it is relevant that I provide a little background information. My name is Jake, 28 male, and I've been studying the occult and paranormal for the better part of 13 years, and almost 10 semi-professionally. I have personally investigated over 150 alleged hauntings, and I've been a part of 3 teams. I've been able to meet many interesting people doing this. I was even able to meet and have a very personal conversation with Lorraine Warren, the person whose case files the Conjuring movies are based off of.
Oh my gosh. Damn.
Despite all of the recent criticism from the paranormal community, she was a wonderful woman to meet. Why is this important? I don't mean to sound arrogant, it serves a purpose. Most of my research is mundane and boring. Many things that appear to be supernatural can usually be explained away by sometimes complex, however usually mundane and normal scientific means. I try to stay skeptical and look for sound reasons in everything, even where there is none. In my 10 plus years of research, I've only had a handful of things ever baffle me. And of those experiences, none of them shook me to my core more than this one.
Give it to us.
I got the chills.
I know, I'm excited.
In the summer of 2012, around a family get-together, my uncle had mentioned that he had previously purchased a property and that his workers have reported weird happenings. My uncle is a businessman that makes his money by buying foreclosed or derelict commercial properties in and around the Chicagoland area and essentially flipping them by turning them back into either functional businesses or renovated commercial buildings. As it is common knowledge among my family that I am heavily invested in paranormal research, he brought the complaints to me, mostly in jest at the time. After some prodding and convincing, I was able to have his ear long enough to have him agree that me and my team would be allowed to set up an investigation. He seemed to think little of the stories that his employees would tell. I took them differently, as many of them sounded like the employees were genuinely terrified. One of the reasons I became a paranormal researcher was to help debunk fears when someone had no one to turn to. My uncle was mostly a shrewd man when it came to money, so I offered my services free of charge in hopes that I may be able to bring some closure or peace to the employees. After a month, my team and I were Chicago-bound with all of our equipment. I had with me my best friend Derek, 21 male at the time, and my other friend Eric, 22 male at the time. Between us, we had several cameras, sensors, and various instruments of the trade. When we arrived, it was clear that renovations were in full swing and mostly complete. The building was a large 3-story and housed a hotel with a full restaurant and ballroom. Despite my uncle's wealth, my immediate family was lower middle class, and it was very obvious to all of us in our band tees and rusty Astro van that we were gravely underdressed. We made our way inside to the front desk, weaving in between the hustle and bustle of what was happening around us. We were met by a receptionist, and he asked what we needed and asked if we were lost, obviously alluding to our shabby college appearances. We tried our best, LOL. I explained that our uncle had told us that he was going to allow us to set up for the night and do a lockdown-style investigation. The receptionist seemed confused by this information, stating that he did not doubt that my uncle gave us that permission, but that it would be difficult to achieve as they would be having guests there that night and they had just recently opened for business. At this point, I was feeling quite disappointed, and he saw that on my face. He excused himself and stated that he would talk to his manager and, if need be, contact my uncle to sort it out. After a few moments, he comes back. He says that there was a slight misunderstanding with the schedule and says that regardless, we can have a room and stay the night, and as long as we would like, that we were free to set up and investigate, as long as it did not interfere with other guests. Another nice-looking man walks up as our talk with the receptionist ends and says that he will provide a tour of the place so that we can become acquainted with the layout. He took us through the lobby into the packed restaurant and showed us the kitchen that was in full production dinner fury. After that, he showed us the ballroom that was empty and closed for further renovation. However, showed us around backstage in case we wished to investigate there. Finally, we were shown around the corridors and rooms. After the tour, we returned to our van to retrieve our equipment. We were overly excited to be staying in such a nice place, and I called my uncle to thank him and explain the schedule mix-up. When I asked him why he had us investigating in the full swing of business day, he responded with confusion. He asked us to verify the address as we began to unpack things. He explained that we must be in the wrong place since he had only just begun renovations on the building, and it was supposed to be empty. As he said that, a shiver ran down my spine. My phone then died in my hand, and Derek's and Eric's phones began to rapidly ring before also dying. We all turned around to look back across the street to see a building in ruin.
No. Oh my God, I got full body chills.
The same building we had just walked through somehow. We checked the chained door and boarded up windows and even tried to retrace our steps on our tour, and parts of the building that we were supposedly just in were even completely missing. At this point, we were beyond scared, but tried to talk through it rationally as we climbed back into our van. We had nothing. We couldn't all have hallucinated the same, with the exact same details, even recalling such details among each other, down to the color of the napkins the dining people were using. We debated staying, but as we were deciding, we checked all of our equipment and all of our batteries. Backup batteries and backup batteries were completely drained.
Holy shit, this is insane.
Yeah.
At this point, we were really terrified and just wanted to leave. Luckily, our van started and we pulled away quickly, not once looking back.
Holy shit. I feel like
Oh my God, that's
what would
insane.
creep me out is that you're like all walking through the same
All of them.
hallucination. Because you're like, or not,
How
whatever.
the hell? I've never heard anything like that before.
That, I feel like I would be institutionalized after this.
Yeah.
Like I don't say that lightly. Like I would honestly be like in an asylum after this. I
Yeah.
would check myself in. I'd be like, clearly I like can't trust my like own sight.
But the fact that all of them,
I know.
that is so crazy.
This secret came from listener Bridget. I think I need to break up with my mum, Jane. I don't think she's a good person, and I'm actually convinced she is a pathological liar. She lies about little stuff that doesn't matter and big stuff that does, and has even lied about certain parts of my childhood that have all been debunked by other family members. When I was pregnant with my baby girl, she asked if she could be in the delivery room. I said no, and that it would just be me and my partner. She then rang my dad and told him that my partner wasn't going to be there to support me during the birth, and that someone needed to talk sense into me and let her be there to help me. Thankfully, my dad knows what a great guy my partner is, and that mum is a somewhat less than trustworthy source. And he shut down the conversation. My daughter is at the age where she could be looked after by a grandparent, but she has never been left alone with her. She keeps asking to have her and guilt trips me when I say no. She even says I'm a mean mummy to my daughter when I say no to her requests. To her friends, she is a doting, loving grandparent with a close bond towards me and my baby daughter. But to me and my partner, it is a constant burden. All right, well, this is the update from Bridget. We'd already been slowly cutting back our contact with mum before the episode aired. But after hearing Ruby read out my secret and hearing your thoughts on it all, it became very clear that dealing with her behaviour was detrimental. Whether my mum Jane is or isn't a pathological liar, it doesn't really matter. It's having such a huge impact on me and my partner mentally. So, we have cut back to as minimal contact as possible. However, Jane is still taking every opportunity to dig at us. She's still unhappy about her relationship with my family, and after every interaction, we're left with a bad taste in our mouths. We don't get anything positive from the situation as it currently stands, but we're really trying this low contact approach to maintaining peace. We have decided to give it a go until the end of the year. If things do not improve, we will sit down with my brother to explain everything, then chat with mum, and probably go without contact for a period of time. Thanks again for being so helpful, Bridget.
My boyfriend deleted my dead brother from my Instagram friends, and he doesn't seem to understand or care that I'm upset. 6 years ago, my twin brother Sam died in a horrible accident on the freeway. It was one of the biggest accidents in our state. My only comfort is that he died immediately. The police said that he most likely had no idea anything was happening around him. Anyway, before he died, Sam was a huge social media user, mostly on Instagram and Snapchat. I never followed him on Snapchat, but I followed him on Instagram. He made thousands of posts about his life, friends, family, music. He was an amazing singer. After he died, I would go to his account and just scan through his account. I mostly watched a few videos he made where he does a dialogue for ESL speakers. He taught English to ESL students for extra money. I'd often pretend that he was speaking to me. I know it's not healthy to listen to my dead brother's voice every day, but it just became a habit. A few weeks ago, my boyfriend had been urging me to break free from this. He told me that I needed to move on. I did start. I would only watch one video, or even not use my phone until right before I went to bed. Last night, I went to check my brother's account and I saw that it was gone. I was upset. I texted my sister and she said that she could still see his account. My boyfriend told me that he blocked my brother on my account. I was annoyed, but simply thought that I could just go back to following him. But my brother's account was private and our family couldn't access his account years ago. The reason why he blocked him is because he thought I was in love with my brother and even accused me of being once intimate with him. I wanted to vomit. He's my twin. We spent every single day together. Even when we grew up, we went to the same university. At the time of my brother's accident, we were roommates. I love my brother, but not in a sick way. My boyfriend never met him. He and I only started dating 2 years ago. But after this, I don't know if I can or should continue this relationship. My boyfriend keeps saying that I should move on, that what he did wasn't a big deal, but it was to me. Our mutual friends agree that I should just forgive and forget, but I feel like I'm grieving again.
I'm trying to steal my boss away from his wife. Welcome to Storytimes with Esther, where you send me your storytime and I tell them here on TikTok. This all started out as a dare at an office party 3 months ago. When I got hired, I had a really small position. Then I got promoted to being an assistant. Let me just clarify something. My boss is ugly. He is not my type. He's older. He's like not really fit. At the office party, I found out that he's a serial cheater. He has a wife he's been married to for 30 years. And apparently he has about 3 girlfriends because he's their sugar daddy. Now clearly my coworkers are bored. These 2 girls started daring me to go out with him or to at least start flirting with him to see where I could go. Because they have a theory that he would try to be my sugar daddy. At first I was totally against this. I would never jeopardize my job. And my coworker confessed she used to be one of his sugar babies and that he started giving her $5,000 a month. Now to me that sounds pretty good. I have 2 kids and I'm a single mom. And I really wish I could just stay home with them and take care of them. $5,000 is a lot to me because I didn't grow up with much. So I did it. I started flirting with him and about 2 weeks later he asked me out to lunch. At lunch he offered me money. But you'll never guess for what. And trust me, it gets worse. You have to go to part 2. I'm trying to steal my boss away from his wife. Welcome to Storytimes with Esther, where you send me your story time and I tell him here on TikTok. After 2 weeks of flirting with him, he fell. He invited me to lunch and started offering me money, but you'll never guess for what. He said that he wanted me to just accompany him to a couple of work events, and that he would pay me extra for that. And when I asked him how much, he said $2,000. So of course I agreed. Remember, I'm a single mom of 2, and if my boss wanted me to be his sugar baby, I was never gonna say no. After we ended up going to the 2 events, he asked me out to lunch again because he had a proposal. When we get to lunch, we sit down and he tells me that he likes me, and that I'm not like any of the other girls at the office. And he asked me if I would be okay with some extra money if I just spent some time with him. And he told me that his wife is horrible, that his life sucks, and that she's the most evil woman ever. And I accepted. This man offered me $7,000 a month, and he asked me to make a wish list for me and my kids so that he could fulfill it. I couldn't believe my luck, but before I told any of my coworkers, I decided to keep it quiet. What if they tried to use it against me? I did something crazy though. I went to his house and pretended like I needed to drop something off so that I could meet his wife. I wanted to see her. You have to go to part 3. I'm trying to steal my boss from his wife. Welcome to Storytimes with Esther, where you send me your story time and I tell it here. After he told me that his wife was a horrible woman, I had to go to their house to find out. Now, part of me was a little bit guilty because he was giving me money in exchange for spending time with him. But if she really is that horrible, why not? When I knocked on the door, she answered and was so rude right away. She asked me who I was and I said I was her husband's assistant. And after talking to her for 2 minutes, I realized she really is a bitch. That's when I decided that I would completely steal him away from her. I don't even like this man. I'm not even attracted to him. But if he could offer me the life that I need for me and my kids, of course I'm gonna try to steal him. 3 months into our arrangement, he had never even touched me. Not until one night, he actually kissed me. Surprisingly, I was okay with it. He confessed that he's in love with me, so I told him that I was too, even though I'm not. I told him that he needed to leave his wife, and he says he will. I hired a private detective to get pictures of her cheating on him because apparently she has affairs, and then he would get a divorce. That way she gets nothing. I know that this can backfire on me, but I'm now able to put my kids in private school, and I quit my job. And the biggest thing, he even bought me a little house. Now I don't even have to pay rent. How can I get him to leave him sooner? What should I do?
I thought my boyfriend was the love of my life until I discovered he was drugging me at night.
No.
Lately, I've been waking up still exhausted. Even if I went to bed early, I'd wake up feeling like I haven't slept in days. Trying to get out of bed for work was almost impossible, which was strange for me because I was always a high energy sort of person. A few hours of sleep and I was always good to go. I was at a loss as to what was happening. After a barrage of tests, even my doctor couldn't find anything wrong with me. The only recent change in my life was my boyfriend, who had moved in and I was sharing a bed with for the first time in my life. Steven was the first love of my life, and this was my first serious relationship. I didn't want to spoil things by making him sleep in the spare room. I liked having Steven around. He made a real fuss over me and he would bring me chamomile tea every night before bed. The pain in my hip was sharp and pulsated up to the right side of my body. I jumped from my bed and nearly collapsed to the floor as I struggled to get to the bathroom. "Steven, can you get in here?" I cried. A big, dark bruise covered my hip, as if I was assaulted in my sleep with a metal bar. "What's wrong?" Steven said as he came rushing into the bathroom. "Did I fall out of bed or something?" Steven had a weird expression on his face. I could swear he looked guilty about something. Probably, I don't know. His response was dismissive, which sent my brain spiraling with all sorts of thoughts. "This is not normal, Steven. I think there's something wrong with me. You should probably see a doctor then," he said coldly before quickly leaving the bathroom. My doctor was still at a loss and suggested I should see someone who could rule out anything nefarious. Steven was still dismissive of me as we drove to the hospital. "I'm sure it's nothing. Probably just stressed about work. People don't wake up with bruises over stress," I angrily thought to myself. The doctor at the hospital took my blood and did all sorts of tests, including a stress test. I should have been happy when the test came back clear, but it only made me feel like I was losing my mind. Something was definitely wrong with me. "I would prescribe you sedatives, but your blood work shows you are already on nitrazepam," explained the doctor. I was dumbstruck and wasn't sure what the doctor was talking about. I've never taken so much as a painkiller in my life. The doctor's face looked like how I felt. He took out his charts and looked over them again. "No, you definitely tested positive for nitrazepam, which is a powerful sedative." Later that evening, as I sat in my bed, a million different thoughts ran through my head. How was that even possible? I thought to myself. As I sat there, Steven walked in with my chamomile tea. And just as I was about to put it to my lips, I was struck by the most unnerving thought. The realization that my boyfriend was drugging me hit me like a ton of bricks and filled me with dread that I had never felt before. I emptied the contents of the cup down the sink in the bathroom before jumping back into bed. "Was it hot enough for you?" asked Steven as he jumped into bed beside me. "Perfect, as always." I felt as if I was lying beside a complete stranger. Had I ever really known him? I thought to myself. As I lay there terrified, he was doing unimaginable things to me all while I slept. I must have drifted off at some stage because when I woke up, the room was a mess and Steven was nowhere to be seen. My body ached all over and it felt like I was in a fight. What the hell was he doing to me in my sleep? I thought. I'd made the decision to go to the police, but I needed evidence, or it was just my word against his. I'd purchased a hidden camera and set it up in the bedroom, pointing towards the bed. I woke up exhausted as usual, which unfortunately meant he had done something to me while I slept, but I had it on camera. I opened my laptop to check the footage. For the first couple hours of sleep, nothing happened. For a moment, I had hoped I was imagining everything until I watched myself jolt from the bed. At first, I couldn't believe what I was doing. It felt like I was watching a horror movie as I watched myself crawl up the bedroom wall like some possessed demon. I continued to crawl up the wall, onto the ceiling, looking down over Steven like I was ready to pounce on him. Steven woke, and it was strange watching him because it was like he was prepared for what was happening and didn't seem fazed by it. He took a stick out from under the bed as I pounced from the ceiling above, and he spent the next hour fighting me off. I watched as he subdued me onto the bed before pulling out handcuffs and cuffing me to the bed. I looked at the marks on my wrists, which made sense now. As soon as Steven came home from work, I ran and threw my arms around him. Quote, "Why didn't you tell me what you were going through every night?" Steven shrugged his shoulders. "I thought you knew, and usually the drugs I was giving you made things a little easier. Why are you even still with me?" Well, my last girlfriend was a jealous psychopath. You're a walk in the park compared to her.
Now I'm going to be the skeptic, okay? Ain't nobody crawling up the wall. Nobody's going on the ceiling. And nobody's taking out a stick every night and like trying to fly swat the fly back into bed.
My husband is having a baby with another woman in a couple of weeks. We met when we were 11 years old. We grew up together. He was my first love, my first everything. We started dating at 15. We have 2 beautiful daughters. We will have been married for 17 years this year if the divorce isn't final by September. Our marriage wasn't perfect. We had our struggles, but this was not something I ever expected. 2.5 weeks ago, I received a text message from someone he worked with, informing me that he had been having an affair with a coworker and that she was pregnant and due in June. I confronted him. After initially denying, he finally admitted the truth. It's his baby. It's been a blur. I've kicked him out and I'm looking into my options for a lawyer and programs available to me. He is the breadwinner by far. I don't know how I'm going to make it through this, but I can't stay in a relationship with someone who has disrespected me in such a way. My daughters are crushed. I've gotten them both into therapy. They don't want any contact with him at this time, nor do they have any interest in meeting their half-brother, who will be born shortly. I'm exhausted emotionally and physically. I can't eat or sleep. I'm trying my best I can for my girls, but my goodness, why is this happening? And why couldn't he have at least told me himself? He's known for months. We've been through major holidays, birthdays. It hurts. It makes me sick. I feel like I never even knew him, yet we've known each other for 25 years. I'm going to touch on one point you said, and you said, why couldn't he have at least told me myself? When they try to hide it, I think there's a difference saying, you know what, I effed up, right, babe? Like I did this, I want to tell you, like I care for you. When they go out of their way to hide it, they never had the intention of coming clean with it. That's why the other person reached out and let you know. They probably had a disagreement saying, hey, you need to tell your wife that we're having a baby. And he denied, thought he could live the best of both worlds and play daddy to both sides without letting you know and ruining his ideal world. That's why he didn't care. He wanted to lead that lifestyle, or he was scared shitless because he knew he destroyed his marriage and the marriage was over. For myself, right, I always say there's 2 things in a marriage for myself that are non-negotiables for me that are causes of divorce. I never want to get divorced. Inshallah, may that never happen for me. I always state, listen, you put your hands on me, or if you cheat on me, it's over. Everything else, I will work through the dirt with you. I will bring us up. I will do everything in my power to make our marriage work. But if you ever put your hands on me, and if you ever cheat on me, I'm out. Those 2 forms of disrespect is something I will never tolerate. And may I always keep that mindset, because I know when it happens, it's different, right? You have kids, that's the father of your child, things like that. But I just, non-negotiables. And then your last sentence, I feel like I never even knew him, yet we've known each other for 25 years. You know, I'm looking at the top comment right now and it says, sometimes I wish I was lesbian. I understand that. The example like that he has set for his daughters, I think things like that's what causes like generational trauma. I'm thinking about it like from the daughter's perspective, right? I don't know how old they are, they don't state it, but how traumatic, right? It's someone you put that distrust in them already for men in their lives because they're saying how can someone they love so much and so dear, one day do something as sinister like their father did to their mother. So that's always going to be in the back of their mind. It's different when you know someone that close who cheated, right? You hear stories here and there, but when it's like, yeah, my own father cheated when he had 2 kids and was my mom for X amount of years. What prevents it from happening to me when you live that firsthand? I'm going to read this comment and it says, stand firm. I can't imagine what you're going through. Your ex betrayed you in the worst way possible. Steady yourself and don't falter in your steps. You have to be the rock for your daughters. You're already setting an important example for them by being a strong woman and not tolerating his disrespect. It's going to take a long time to come to terms with everything, but it will happen eventually. Sending lots of love and positivity.
Am I in the wrong for putting dinner away and playing video games after my girlfriend came home drunk? My girlfriend and I live together. I'm 29 and she's 26. We've lived together for 6 months. I've been really busy at work and with life, so yesterday I was really looking forward to cooking dinner for her and relaxing. We had this planned all weekend. My girlfriend is more of a social butterfly than I am, so she had plans yesterday morning with her friends. She had brunch at 11 and I was planning on having dinner ready by 6:30. I expected her to have a few mimosas at breakfast, but nothing too crazy. Maybe she'd get home and take a nappy nap before dinner. Basically, brunch turned into going to one more bar after, around 1 p.m., which turned into more bars, which basically became bar hopping all day. She was texting me insisting me that she'll be home in time for dinner, but by the way that she was talking, I could tell that she was drunk. I started making the pasta around 5 p.m. Around 5:30, I saw on her Snap story that she was doing shots at a bar in a completely different neighborhood of Chicago. I didn't want to be a boyfriend who nags, so I let it go. I was getting seriously annoyed because I was thinking, oh great, she's going to be hammered for our nice night that we had planned. At 6:30, she wasn't home yet. I saw on her location that she was now at a different bar from where they were taking shots at. I ate and asked my friends if they wanted to play PlayStation, so I packed up the food, put it in the fridge, and hopped on PlayStation with the boys. Girlfriend arrived home around 7:15 p.m., clearly drunk. She asked what I was doing and what about dinner. I said she was late and that dinner was done, but it's in the fridge so she can heat some up if she wants. She apologized for being a little bit late, but basically gave me a half-assed laughing apology saying, you never know what to expect when the girl gang goes to brunch. I said that it's fine, but now I have other plans. She called me rude and went to bed. We haven't talked much about it today, but I can tell that she's being passive-aggressive. So, am I in the wrong?
Caught my husband slipping me birth control because he was cheating on me. Disclaimers is not my story time and send me on Instagram. When I saw the pills on the floor that he dropped, I grabbed them and knew exactly what they were. This man decides to gaslight me and say that they're anxiety pills, when literally the label says birth control. And then very calmly, I asked him to just explain to me why he was giving me birth control. But again, he denied it. So I grabbed a knife and started stabbing the TV. It's his favorite thing in the world. And when I was about to stab his laptop, he finally broke down and told me. That's when he confesses that he's in love with someone else and that he's been seeing her for a year. And that he just didn't have the heart to tell me that he didn't want to have kids with me because he's in love with her. Grabbed his phone and asked him to call her. And he did. And when she answers the phone, I ask her if he knows that he's married and she said no. And she broke up with him right then and there. That's when he started begging me for forgiveness, but I kicked him out anyway. Called the cops and they said that I can't do anything about this. I did file for divorce and I left the apartment. His mistress told me that he's still begging to get back with her, but she won't. Her and I actually met up for coffee and we're friends now. So good riddance to him.
Okay, so some backstory. I live in Virginia, near Jamestown, if you remember it from history class. Anyways, there's this road that is known for being haunted. All the high school kids go there to get a little scared every once in a while. The myth goes, in the early 1800s, a woman fell pregnant, and when the baby was born, her husband didn't believe it was his, and...
Wow.
The woman could not stand the pain, and...
Okay.
From a bridge, Crawford Bridge. If you park onto the bridge at night and fully turn off your car and all lights, you will hear a woman tapping on your window in search for a baby. If you have no baby in the car or you aren't pregnant, you are fine. Babies have gotten sick from this spot for seemingly no reason, and cars also tend to stall. Anyways, as all teens do, me and my friend did the ritual, heard her, got really scared, and drove away. About 3 minutes later on the same road, my car completely stopped. Confused and a little scared,